Okay, so let's talk about Divine Diablo a little bit. I think the best thing about him is his name, but there's actually a lot of interesting stuff about him as a player. I can certainly see why he did fall in the draft as far as he did. I can also see why the Raiders drafted him and why they like him, even though they have a pretty crowded safety room at this point. But I can still see why they kind of felt like, yeah, he could be pretty good. Let's get another safety here because there's stuff to like about him. And so I won't talk about it too much. Let's just get into the film study because I think that'll be the best way for you guys to see exactly what I'm talking about. So we'll start off with this play. This is going to be a negative. So we're going to have a few negatives. We're going to start off with the negatives and then we'll talk some positives. So the reason why I want to start off with this play is the biggest negative you'll see with Deablo that I found was that you'll often see him get fooled with play action. This is going to be a play action, and he's just a little bit slower on these types of things, which as a safety, it matters a lot more when you're playing strong safety than when you're playing free safety. So he is going to kind of be playing a strong safety. He's actually playing man coverage right now, but watch what happens. Right when this play starts, it's hard for him to, at this point, this is right when the handoff or the fake handoff is happening, and you see him kind of moved in a little bit. And the reality is that, and I should clarify, there is a potential that like a different player was supposed to cover the player that I said Deablo was. And, I'm not in there for the huddle, so I don't know for a fact, but that's just what I think is the case. And I've seen multiple examples of this, which is why I'm bringing it up. But you see that Deablo a little bit closer in than maybe I would like, maybe just a step further back. But again, part of that is me personally. I'm kind of from the belief I would rather you not get in the best running lane and give up a bigger run than not get back in time and give up a big pass. Being a step away from where you want to be in the running game typically matters a lot less than being a step away from where you want to be in the passing game, but that's just me. Anyways, watch what happens. As you see, there is going to be an opening for a second, and, the ball doesn't get thrown there, so who cares? But still, like I said, it's not just that one play in isolation. I have noticed this a few times with Deablo. Now, one nice thing about him is that according to his pro day time, he ran a 4.42. That's what Raiders.com says, although I've heard some people say he ran as high as a 4.2, but that seems not the case. 4.42 seems a lot more likely, which isn't exactly blazing speed by any means, but that's solid for a safety. Again, it's a pro day time, so it's a little slower than 4.42. But for a safety, I mean, a third round safety, that's actually a pretty decent time. And so if you get out of position, at least he has the speed to kind of get back into position. Okay, let's talk about his tackling a little bit. So tackling is interesting. That's, again, if you're going to play strong safety, that's going to be something you're going to have to do is you're going to have to tackle. Even if you play free safety, you're going to have to tackle. But much more important in strong, you see where he is. He's in the box right here. He's actually going to be the closest unblocked man. So it's an important play for him. And watch how right when this play starts, you're going to notice that. So there is the gap. You could, again, I think he's doing a pretty good job this time of being a little bit slower, being a little bit more patient. So he's in a good spot right here, and you see that there is a running lane to his side, but of course, he can run in and try and make a play. The back is going to go there, but watch what Deablo does. He's going to get into that gap very quickly, and he's going to be able to track him down and make a pretty quick tackle. So I would say that's a good play and kind of can show off that he can make some of these immediate tackles. At least in college, he was able to do that. Although to move over to a play like this is kind of a good example of maybe something that could worry you. So it's going to be a screen pass, a quick wide receiver screen, and watch what happens. So the ball is snapped. It's going to be a quick throw, and Deablo does make the tackle, but you could argue it's a bit arm-centric, right? He eventually knocked the ball out, which is great, but, kind of relied on his arms a bit too much there. You could say, and that's kind of a thing that I've noticed is he kind of uses his longer arms to make a lot of these tackles. It is something I've noticed, but at the same time, I have a hard time really calling that a massive negative just because, like, he's still making the tackles. And maybe that'll be an issue in the NFL when he's playing against bigger guys who are faster and trying to make arm tackles just doesn't work as well. Like, it might not have the same effect on Derrick Henry, but I think for most guys in the NFL, it'll still work. It's kind of it's maybe a little bit of a red flag just because you never know. It could be a negative, but probably not. He'll probably be fine. And I feel like personally, the more often than not, when I see someone who is still making tackles, but maybe just kind of has a weird form and just looks a little funky doing it, they typically still make tackles well in the NFL. So, I'm not going to freak out over that too much. And now going over to this one, there are some legit positives. I mean, not just like some solid plays where maybe he can be a cover 2 safety and kind of run in and make tackles. No, I actually think that he could play a pretty good free safety. I think that strong safety, there's a couple of issues. Free safety, I think it's pretty good. And I think, having him be that free safety could help. And he is the free safety on this play, even though they're showing as though it's going to be 2 safeties. I believe this is just a cover three, although I suppose it could be quarters coverage, but I believe this is cover three. But the way this play is going to work is that you're going to have a receiver who kind of runs in, is going to kind of try to get to the middle of the field. Again, this would work a lot better against cover two, but since Deablo is, he's the safety who's lined up closer to the top of the screen, he's going to kind of move over a little bit. That could potentially that could make things a little bit more difficult for Lawrence than he realizes. Like, watch, right when this play starts, you notice how Deablo right here, I've circled him in black, he's doing a good job of reading the play and reading where Lawrence is looking. So he can kind of scan the field and know what's going to happen right here, whereas Lawrence hasn't picked that up just yet. So again, a safety that can read the eyes of the quarterback is really valuable. And that's definitely something that I think that the Raiders take into account and pay attention to, which is why I think they made this pick. And watch how he then breaks really well, and he's going to get the interception right there. That's a great play, and that's something that we've seen the Raiders kind of do at times. We thought like Jeff Heath had some interceptions like that. So getting a younger, better version of that, I think there's a lot of value there. And like this one's going to be another one where what's going to happen is that, again, he's that free safety. You see where he is on the field. So again, kind of what they want to do is they kind of want to have these rotations, which is something you could see the Raiders potentially do a good amount next year. And watch how right when this play starts, so the quarterback tries to make a quick throw over the middle, and Diablo's there to just blow him up. I know the number is different. He wore a couple different numbers in college. Really good play from Deablo. Again, just making that quick break, knowing what's happening, and being able to make a play. And if we're being honest, that's something that the Raiders just desperately need, is just a smart player in the secondary. It's kind of why I keep saying that Richard Sherman's going to end up signing with them, just because like they need kind of these smart guys who understand what to do and what their assignment is and where to go. And to me, he is that guy as a free safety. He can get a little fooled with play action. That is a very real thing. So just make him a free safety. And the Raiders are a team that they're not afraid to have a guy just be like, hey, you're going to be the free safety for this drive. Just do that. So, and let's be honest, how many times have we seen, like, the Chargers game was a great example of just they're playing a base cover three, and there's just players that just don't know what to do. There's, someone runs into a gap in coverage and nobody has a rotation to, run over and cover that guy. You see a team like San Francisco who runs a similar defense or ran a similar defense last year. They immediately, like the second something happens, they're switching over, they're figuring something out. So if you're going to play that zone coverage defense, you got to have guys who can be good in zone coverage. He's a guy who can do that. And, I think being sort of more of a safety that, kind of doesn't necessarily have the complete package with sort of how he can have a few issues in strong safety, I think that could mean that he fell a little bit too far in the draft. And you don't have to worry about that. Just play him at free safety, and you could have a pretty good player. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if Deablo ends up being kind of a steal in the third round. There's a lot to like about him. Listen, people can critique some of the other Raiders picks. Like, I honestly, there's part of me that likes Deablo better than Moehrig. I don't think that that's crazy to say. I'm much lower on Moehrig than a lot of people are, though. So take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, I think this is a good pick. They got a pretty good player, in my opinion. Or at least there's a lot of potential here, I think. There are some red flags, but it's the third round. Take a shot on potential. I like it. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.